Hello everyone, what's up? Welcome to another episode of We Want to Talk podcast where we want to talk to you about everything. I'm Kaylyn.
And I'm Alyssa.
And we're obviously your hosts. Wherever you're listening, make sure you like, subscribe, share, leave us reviews, whatever you want to do, please. It helps us out so much. And then whenever we upload our episodes every week, you'll be able to be notified about those whenever they go up. So, yeah, so exciting. Obviously, by the title of today's episode, you can tell that we are talking about all things sorority recruitment, Greek life, etc. So, let's get into it.
Yes, I'm completely clueless when it comes to Greek life and sorority, so I'm really interested to see what Kaylyn has to say today because this is a totally new topic to me too.
Yeah, I've been through it all regarding sororities and the recruitment and everything in between, so I feel like we haven't really talked much about it, so I'm definitely excited to kind of tell you and go a little bit deeper with you about it. And a lot of people who know me, I guess, also haven't really heard a lot of my experience. So, but if you don't know, I know a lot of you do. I've talked about it a lot, but I am a college dropout.
Nothing wrong with that.
So even though I never finished my time of being in a sorority, it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, I am so curious because even at this point of our lives, we were friends, but we weren't that close. So there's really not much I know about it. I think I know I asked you a few questions, but I'm excited to get started.
I know. I didn't even tell Alyssa as I was kind of typing out the sheet for us to go based off of for this episode. I didn't even really read it out much to Alyssa because I kind of wanted her genuine reactions and questions while we were talking.
This is gonna be fun.
Yeah. So I think it might just be easiest to kind of like we do everything. Start from the beginning and kind of work our way to the end. So I'm going to start off, since we're making the episode about sorority recruitment and what it was like. That's where I want to start. So I want to start off talking about my sorority recruitment experience. It's so different for everyone. So this is just a disclaimer on this entire episode. This is just my experience. The things that I went through, it might be totally different for you, or your friend that went through it, or your mom that went through it, etc. Okay, so do not hold my experience against me. I feel like that needs to be said.
No, it did. Yeah.
So, let's kind of start with why and when I decided to do Rush. It's actually really funny. I don't know why. Georgia Southern and all of the pages start posting about recruitment, if you're doing recruitment and stuff like that. And so I started looking into it. I was looking at the pictures of all the sororities and then all of the sororities Instagrams, and I just kind of, for some reason, just was I think I'm gonna do it, because I don't know if you remember this, but remember in Miss Wood's class our senior year, someone being are you gonna join a sorority? And I was no. And I remember making fun of it and being I'm not gonna join a sorority.
I don't remember that, but you're totally the type.
I was absolutely not. But then I think what it is a lot of people don't know, but I came to Georgia Southern by myself.
Yeah.
I had no friends. Literally no one else from my high school was coming to Georgia Southern except for me. Mike wasn't coming here with me. We didn't have plans for him to move here yet. I was all on my own. I was getting random roommates. And so I was very much I'm going to be alone. I was kind of freaking out. And joining a sorority was kind of my way of hoping that I wouldn't be alone. Yeah. And so I remember being on vacation, asking Dad, because I think it was $300 to sign up for recruitment, because it includes the t-shirts. I just remember it being a lot. Mm-hmm. And me being will you pay this fee for me so that I can go through recruitment? I feel like it was only around $300. I don't know. I could be wrong though. But anyways, so ended up deciding to go through recruitment. With recruitment, you move in a week before everyone else. I'm with my random roommates, and it turns out 2 out of 3 were actually planning to rush too. So we were all 4 of us. We were all random roommates. None of us knew each other. We were all going through rush. And so it was, we actually, well, no, like I said, one of my roommates wasn't. So
she wasn't there.
But yeah, so me and 2 of my other roommates also moved into our dorm all on the same day. It was crazy. You have all of these girls running around, moving in, and then you immediately start that following day. Like, you move in on a Sunday, and you immediately start Monday.
Oh. That's scary.
Yeah. It's broken into 4 rounds. Well, technically 3, but then you have bid day. So you have icebreakers, you have philanthropy, sisterhood, and then bid day. And it's like a whole week process, like Monday through Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm missing a day. Or maybe it might have started on Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday, icebreakers. Thursday, philanthropy. Okay. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we did have Monday as a break.
I would hope so, because you only get one day to move in.
We did, because that's when I went and applied for my job, was on that Monday.
Okay,
so
it starts on Tuesday.
I lied, y'all. You do get a 1-day break after you move in. And it starts on Tuesday.
That makes more sense.
Tuesday through Saturday.
You still only have 2 days to move in and set your room up.
Yeah. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
Anyways, so super long process throughout the week. So, like I said, you start with icebreakers. Icebreakers is basically, dude, it is the most, like, the 2 hectic days are icebreakers. The college I go to, they break it into 2 days. And at the time, we had 8 sororities. I think they might only have 7 now, but my freshman year, we had 8. And so the first day you go to 4 houses, and then the second day you go to 4 houses. Okay. But you're going to these houses, and you're talking to sororities for 30 minutes. And it is so stressful because you're having these same conversations 8 times.
That's ridiculous.
You're telling everyone who you are. You're talking about why you came to the college, why you're going through recruitment, what your major is,
and it's
only
how
old you are.
30 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is the same boring questions. I think there was only one house I didn't have that type of, like, conversation with. Yeah. And it was, like, so refreshing to, like, not have those conversations.
Yeah, like robotic.
Yes. Oh my gosh. But it's so draining. Even though when you think about it, I guess you're only doing that for 2 hours out of the whole day. It was so draining because you're in there for 30 minutes, but you're standing in front of the house in line for like 20 minutes because they have to line you up outside. It might even be like 30 minutes before. Like, you have to be there 30 minutes before you enter the house because they have to put you in an order, because we didn't realize this, but you're in order alphabetically, and you cannot be out of order, because I'm going to get into more about, like, what my process was, like, being in the inside of it. But you have certain girls that you talk to. And so they're lined up inside based off what order where you are in the line. It's like you can't mess up. Okay. Like, you have, like, so it's like this huge, like, super serious process. Oh my gosh. It is literally insane. Oh my gosh. Anyways. So after icebreakers, it's philanthropy. And that's basically where all of the sororities talk to you about their philanthropy, try to win you over with their philanthropy. My sororities was juvenile arthritis, but some of the other sororities at my school were like Girl Scouts, like the Ronald McDonald House, like the Children's Miracle Network, like all kinds of different ones. And then there's sisterhood, which is the sororities basically trying to show you, like, how close of a bond they have. They talk to you about, like, the activities they do to grow as a sisterhood and, like, all of that stuff. Okay. And then the last day is bid day, which is where you run home to the sorority that you're going to be in.
Run home?
Yes. Run.
What do you mean?
You run. It means when you open your bid day card, whatever sorority you get. So, for example, I ended up going AOPI. You open your bid day card. It says AOPI. They call all AOPIs. You line up. And, like, we were at the PAC. And so it's from the PAC walking all the way to Greek Row. And starting about, like, right here, like, before you turn on Greek Row.
You start running?
You start running.
Why?
What's the purpose? Because all of the girls in the sorority are lined up in front of their house with signs with your name on it. Like your bid day buddy who you run home to is holding a big sign with your name on it. And it's just like, when you're in that moment, you'll understand the
So you don't have to run.
You run.
It's just, okay.
You run.
Your adrenaline's going. Okay.
Yes. Like, you're so excited. Everyone's freaking out. You literally run.
Okay.
Not joking.
That's so weird. I mean, it's not weird. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know there's a whole process behind it, but
it is, the whole sorority thing is kind of like weird and crazy and out there when you're not like in it. When you're not experiencing those things. But
so like, what if none of the sororities pick you?
Then you don't have a sorority.
So
at the end of every day, you go and you vote on.
I know, like, the voting process.
Yeah,
like,
so you vote at the end of every single day. Well, not. You don't do it on Tuesday, so it was like at the whole end of the icebreakers round and of philanthropy and of sisterhood, you vote. So I think after icebreakers, you vote on like your top 6, and then after philanthropy, you vote on your top 4, and then after sisterhood, you vote like your top 2. But some girls don't even, because, like I said, I'll go into more detail about this too, but while you're voting on the sororities are also voting on you.
I did know that.
So, like, while I want to go back to 6 houses on philanthropy day, I might only get to go back to 4.
Maybe 4 of them only are interested in you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a serious deal. Like, it is absolutely crazy. I mean, the emotions that girls go through that week. I mean, there were some girls who, after icebreakers, only had like 2 houses to go to for the rest of the week.
That's so sad.
It's so sad. Like, it's insane.
Wow, that's depressing.
I know. It definitely is. But I think I might have told you this before, but pre-born and any girls who don't know anything about recruitment, I knew absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah.
Nothing. No one in my family has rushed. I was going into this extremely blindsided.
A sorority TikTok wasn't a thing then.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So, when they opened those doors and they were looking at me and chanting like a cult.
I have seen videos of that.
I freaked out. I remember looking at the girl next to me being like, what is going on? I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
I'm not going in there.
You have to be so confused. Like,
yes.
What are they doing?
They open the door and there's 50 girls at the door jumping around.
I still don't quite understand why. Like, I know it's like their thing.
Well, because if you think about it, if they just open the door and there's nothing going on, you just walk in, how awkward is that?
It makes it even more awkward when they're chanting.
It actually doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
No, because you're, like, so intrigued by what they're doing. You're, like, looking around. Dude, and there's girls moving all over that you're not even realizing is, like, happening until you're in the inside and you're doing it from the other side and you're the one that's moving around and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. It's so crazy. But anyway, so that was kind of, like, my recruitment week experience. I ended up making a few friends that, were kind of like, because you were in like certain like groups or whatever, and so like you would go like with your group at the end of the day and go like vote, like that's who you would start with at the end of the day. And so dude, and I remember it being so funny because like you're not allowed to hang out with like frats or whatever, but the frats aren't there yet, or some of them aren't, and so like we were taking a lot of our breaks in the frat houses
because there was nobody in them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But then once it started getting to like, oh my gosh, especially bid day, it's so awkward because all of the guys in the frats are all outside on their lawns watching the girls run home.
No.
Oh my god, it's so awkward. This is so awkward. Weird. Oh my gosh, it's so weird. Anyways.
What an experience.
It definitely is. But, so yeah, I ended up running home to AOPI. Ended up running home to a random girl I'd never met before, Jenny.
You never met her?
She did not rush me at all. But I obviously ended up loving Jenny. She became my big. And so
I thought that wasn't a
thing.
Out. Like, I thought...
No.
Oh.
I ran home to someone I'd never met. But Jenny's big, and then her grand big rushed me. but it was just Jenny who didn't. So that's why I ended up going home to her. But it was I'd never met her before, so I was like, what is happening right now? But it ended up working out, obviously. So I guess next I'll kind of go into, like, my first couple of, like, months, going into, like, overall experience. So, but I'll be very honest, it's, like, a lot in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, it does not stop. For the first few weeks, I just remember constantly going to Darties. Like, constantly being invited. Like, oh, you have to come, you have to come.
Is it a party?
Yeah, a day party. A Darty.
Like, all day?
Yes. Okay. A day. It's literally called a Darty. It's at the frat houses. Like, a lot of them would have, like, water slides and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's...
Like, on weekdays?
Most of them are on the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them are on the weekend. But, I mean, you're a freshman in college, and you're trying to adjust to college life.
That is hard. That was hard already.
The sororities being like, oh, you have to come to this. And it's not like the Darties were not, like, mandatory, but everyone else is going. And
why wouldn't you go?
You're not going to not go. But then also, going along with that is, you know how they're saying, like, freshmen are fresh meat?
Yeah.
That's, like, in a sorority. Like, you're, like, the freshman. You have to go to all of the events. We had chapter every single Sunday. You can't skip. When homecoming week came in October, so only 2 months into school, homecoming week is there, and you literally, like, it's the freshmen are the ones who are having to do the tabling. You're having to do all of the stuff to set up. You're having to work on the parade float. And then get this, you're going to absolutely die. You have to banner watch during the middle of the night.
Like the banners that hang outside?
Yes. Because other sororities, it's like a competition, like other sororities and fraternities will steal your banner. You have to banner watch in the middle of the night. It's like a 24, like, throughout the night. I'm talking about, like, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's girls out there banner watching.
This is so crazy to me. So, wow, I'm speechless.
Yeah.
So you're basically just doing all the work as a freshman?
Yes. Okay. Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
You're having to do everything. And as if all of that wasn't enough, it was, like, very stressful on Mike and I, because
being in a relationship,
yeah, and so, because we were long distance at the time, and so he was trying to come see me. He would come on the weekends, and I'd be like, you can come this weekend, but I'm gonna have to leave for a few hours and go do this.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot on us, and we were trying to work around the sorority schedule with our schedule, and then he was working a lot, so, like, when he was coming, like, it was just a lot on us.
Yeah.
Like, it was extremely a lot to deal with and I've got a new job.
Yeah, so between work, school, sorority,
and a boyfriend. Long distance relationship.
Yeah, that's hard.
It was a lot. And at that time, like I said, Mike and I were still long distance. I was still getting used to moving away from home. So I was still trying to go home as often as I could too during that time.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. Prepare yourself for that, okay? I'm just trying to be open and honest throughout this whole conversation.
You're going to stay busy.
Not easy at all. But it also did have its benefits. One of my favorite things we did was we had, like, dinner every Wednesday at the house. So obviously a part of the dues that you paid, it went to, like, a dinner at the house on Wednesday. So they would order, it was different every week. Like, heck, sometimes it was Longhorns. We would get, like, hibachi bowls sometimes from, like, a Japanese restaurant. Sometimes it was, like, Moe's. It was always different. Sometimes it was even, I think we did, like, Jimmy John's sometimes. Like, it was, like I said, always different. But it was, after, like, a stressful day of school, knowing that you have dinner waiting on you
yeah,
at the house was the best thing. Like, we would just go to the house, get in line, fix your plate, and then everyone would sit in the chapter room. Socialize. Yeah. Get a free, which is technically not free. It's not free. It's part of your dues, but at the time, it's free. Yeah. You don't have to worry about eating out that night. Yeah. But not all sororities did that. Now that I think of it, I think AOPI might have been one of the only ones that did Wednesday night dinners. There's another sorority. I don't know if Zeta is like this at all schools, but our Zeta here has like a kitchen, and they have like a dinner every night.
I think you've told me that before.
Yeah, they have like a chef that cooks like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Their dues are probably...
But their dues are crazy expensive. Yeah. But like I said, I don't know if all schools are like that. I just know that the one here is. So.
But the dinners weren't mandatory, right? But they were in your dues, so you might as well.
Yeah.
Go. Okay, yeah.
Exactly. You're paying for it, so you might as well.
Yeah.
But, so speaking of that, even though it had its benefits, the cost was not
I remember. We didn't talk a lot, but I remember you being like...
Because I was paying for it myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was paying for my own dues because my parents were like, if you want to do it, you're going to have to pay for it.
That's something you chose to do,
because they were still paying, at the time, they were still paying for my phone bill, and like my car payment and that type of stuff. So the tiny little check I was making from my job was going to dues.
Yeah.
Sorority dues.
All for funsies.
A blast. I'm just kidding, y'all. It did have its benefits. You did like it, yeah. But one of my favorite things is I did end up gaining a position in AOPI. Actually, my freshman year.
What's it?
Because you do position voting in like November.
Oh. So you'd only been in for a few months.
Yeah. And I ended up taking on a position. And it wasn't even so, it was one of the girls that rushed me that I was friends with. She was a couple years older than me. She was like the PHA exec for AOPI. So there's a PHA exec and then there's like assistant PHA. And I straight skipped assistant PHA. And I went straight to PHA exec.
Oh.
Like, and I wasn't supposed to have that role as a freshman.
Yeah, how did you manage to get that?
Michaela talked me up and just, like, really wanted me to get it. I don't know how. But, so, yeah, I ended up taking on a role, and that was, honestly, I loved it. Like, basically what a PHA exec is you're kind of, like, the voice for your whole chapter. Like, you meet with other PHA execs from other sororities, and you vote on, like, the laws for all of Greek life.
Okay, you have to dumb it down for me. What does PHA mean?
Panhellenic Association.
So it's just Greek life, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Panhellenic is pretty much like the girl side of Greek life.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're basically overall, like, literally the voice of your chapter. You're voting on rules for all of the sororities.
Okay.
It's like...
For just your university.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
But it's still a lot. Like, oh my gosh. I remember when it finally came time for PHA to vote. I mean, I'd obviously had the position for months now. Yeah. It wasn't something you get into it and then you immediately vote.
Yeah.
But it was a lot. I remember our chapter, oh my gosh, what did we call her? She wasn't our chapter, not the president, but kind of like the woman. I can't even think of what her role is, but she's like an older woman who's basically like in charge. Our advisor? Yes, our advisor. She was like the woman that was kind of like overall like in charge of our chapter. If anyone in the chapter had any questions, like she kind of like
she was the quote unquote adult.
Yes, the adult of the chapter. She helped me so much. I remember me being and voting and be like and texting her and be like, oh my gosh, they're trying to do this, and she was like, no, we're not letting them do that. And it was like she was good. Like my voice, like, or she kind of helped me like on all the decisions and like learning. So it was super cool though. One of my favorite parts, I was like really getting to like meet like the other girls who were like in charge of their chapters and stuff.
That is cool. Yeah,
super cool. It was one of the things I really, really enjoyed. Yeah, but it did keep me crazy busy.
I bet.
Oh my gosh. So busy. But it made the experience like 10 times better. So let's move on and talk about my rush experience from the inside.
Okay.
Because that's when it gets interesting.
So you're done with recruitment.
You've been in the sorority for a year, and now you're going through recruitment again, but you're on the other side.
You're recruiting girls.
You're recruiting.
Okay.
It was not what I expected.
Because you probably went into it thinking, like, oh, this one way, it works because it's what I saw from rushing, but it's totally different than what you saw.
And, dude, you don't realize how much goes into this stuff.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's very thought out.
Yes. And I was like, I cannot even believe there's a bunch of 20-year-olds in charge of this stuff. You know, like, our recruitment chair, like, the girl who's in, like, this is a 21-year-old girl who's in charge of 200 other 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Leading them through a whole recruitment process. We have a girl who's chapter president who's also like 21 years old. Like, how are sororities actually a thing? Like,
how are they functioning?
It's insane.
Yeah.
When you see it from that side, it is it's insane. So there's like a whole process to recruitment, and it wasn't until I actually saw it and I was on that side of it that I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So because we're freshmen, we had to have practice for 2 weeks. So there's freshman practice where we have to learn all the chants, we have to learn the ins and outs. And then the week after that is where we're practicing with everyone else in the chapter because they've already been through it. They don't have to go through that.
They don't need to learn the chants again.
They don't have to go through that first week.
Okay.
So it's basically a 3-week process. Freshman practice, everyone practice, and then recruitment week.
So you had to get there 2 weeks earlier.
Which I stayed here.
Okay.
I stayed here. But yes, everyone else had to get here probably 2 weeks earlier.
Mid to end of July.
And let's not forget, I couldn't take off work for 3 weeks.
Oh.
So I worked it out with my job to where I could go to practice because it would start at like...
Practice.
8 o'clock in the morning. I would go from like 8 to like 1.
Learning chants?
1 or 2.
Well, you learn everything.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that. But you have to remember, there's different chants for every day. So, like, you're working on Icebreakers Day. You're working on Philanthropy, Sisterhood. Like, you're going through each day. So, but yes, I would have to go to the sorority practice in the mornings leading up to, like, early afternoon. Hurry up, go grab lunch, and then go to work from, like, 2 to 6.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, it's not ridiculous. This is what you chose to do, but...
Yes. My schedule was...
It's a lot.
Absolutely insane. And then the process is so depressing. So we were kind of talking about this. So, like, as you're voting on sororities, the sororities are also voting on you. And I'm just a disclaimer, my sorority was not like this, okay? But, and I'm not even saying necessarily some sororities at my college, but... There are sororities who vote on looks. But so basically you're voting on the people's personalities if you think they're going to fit into the sorority. But some sororities are voting on looks and are you going to fit in on a different level?
They're allowed to do that. There's no like ethical moral.
A lot of them get away with it.
Okay. So it's like an unspoken kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. It's
So when
different.
you see a sorority full of blonde-headed women, now you know why.
No, but yeah, you know, but anyways, not the point, but so you're meeting these girls every day and it kind of absolutely sucks when you love a girl. So let's say I love a girl first day of Icebreakers. Or during Icebreakers. So she comes back and someone else in my sorority talks to her on Philanthropy and she doesn't like her. Well, let's say I'm not in the same group as that girl. So she's, like, you're in a group, the whole, like, recruitment thing. Okay. So I go and I talk back to my group and I'm like, oh my gosh, I absolutely loved Alyssa. Okay. Then, like I said, that next time she comes back to her house, she's in another group. And that girl tells her group, I did not like her at all. She would not fit into our sorority. And so it's, like, so hard because sometimes you have to be, like, fighting over a girl.
So I would be booted automatically, or y'all would just have to, like, talk about it? And
we could, like, fight. Like, I would have the chance to be able to, like, fight for you and be like, no, like,
fight?
I want her to come back.
I mean, I know you don't mean, like, figuratively, but...
Bro, it got crazy.
What? I can't believe you never told me this.
Yes, it was... I keep saying this, but it was insane. Like, everything about sororities is just kind of, like... crazy, but it sucks even more when you love a girl and it's not your sorority that drops her, it's her that drops
she didn't pick
and
y'all.
She doesn't come back because she doesn't want to come back.
Yeah.
I had like 2 rush crushes. I still remember what they look like in their names because that's what we call them. It's a rush crush because you love those girls so much you want them to run home to you, and they didn't. And I was so
just
sad.
the like language that's used is funny to me. Like,
yeah.
Rush crush, run home.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah. It definitely is. But I ended up... Yes, I know you did.
Sorry.
So, because there weren't many girls that like, all of the girls that I connected with during recruitment ended up not going to AOPI. So, the girl that ran home to me, I didn't know her. Okay. She was like a random girl.
Just like how Jenny didn't know you.
Yeah, because, so, obviously, if you've been through recruitment, you know this, but your bid day buddy is more than likely going to be someone who rushed you. And you choose your bid day buddy. So, like, that morning before bid day, when they send the list out and send you who's coming home to your sorority, y'all sit there in that chapter room and fight over the girl that you want to be your bid day buddy.
Your buddy, okay.
There were girls in my sorority who both wanted, like, I don't even remember who it was, but I remember there being, like, this one girl that was running home to AOPI, and there were 2 girls that wanted her, and they literally were like, all right, take this outside. Because they were, like, arguing, so they took it outside, and they discussed it, and then they came back inside, and they had a solution.
Wow.
It got serious.
So that's how you end up with someone you don't know.
Yes. So I ended up with someone I didn't know because, like I said, I hardly knew any of the girls that were running home to AOPI because I didn't rush any of them. Like, almost all of the girls I rushed went to a different sorority. So it ended up being, I think it was, like, my big Jenny who had rushed her. She was like, oh, you're going to love her. Like, choose her. So I was like, okay.
Was there some of y'all that were freshmen that didn't have a rush buddy at all?
No, there's usually enough.
It's usually the same amount that rush every year. Yeah, there's usually
enough. There's even some people who had 2.
Okay.
Yeah, who had 2 bid day buddies. So, yeah, it's crazy. There's that whole spiel on that. So, now I'll kind of go into why I didn't stay in the sorority. I feel like I had a very different experience than a lot of other people. So, like I said before, I had 2 roommates that also went AOPI. Well, summer after freshman year, Megan, who was my best friend in AOPI and my roommate, she moved back home. And so I didn't have her anymore. And me and my big were close, but we weren't, like, best friends, you know? So I was kind of really struggling on where to fit into AOPI. But then I ended up getting my little. I absolutely loved my little. I was like, finally, I think I'm going to, like, finally find my place in AOPI. Like, I have my little, who's, like, my best friend. Well, she ended up having to drop for numerous reasons. And so then that started getting to the point where the excitement of being a freshman's worn off, and a couple of other girls are starting to drop, etc. Some things are happening. And then also, after that semester, led into the semester of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And so, COVID's happening. Let's also not forget that starting with that year, Mike had moved in with me. Because me and Mike moved in together in May. So, starting with the new August school year, Mike and I were living together. COVID happens at the beginning of the next year. My classes are online. My grades are dropping. I'm not wanting to still attend Zoom chapter meetings every single Sunday.
Not to mention,
before, and even before COVID happened and we were still in school, Mike and I were living together, and there's all of these events every single week, and I'm, like, slowly getting over it.
Yeah. Not to mention you didn't have many friends in it. Because it seems kind of cliquish, like, even within the sorority. Like, if you don't have your friend group, people have already established their friend groups.
Yes.
So it's you can't just
even the friend group I was a part of was Megan's friends that she knew from back home. Okay. So like Sarah, Kirk, and Mason were Megan's friends. But I did end up becoming good friends with them. Yeah. But it was even still like none of them were my own friends. You know, like they were friends because I was friends with Megan, or they were friends. I was friends with them because I was Jenny's little. You know, so it was just very much like I felt like I never found my place in the sorority, and then I ended up dropping out of school.
Yeah.
So
you kind of had to drop then.
Main reason on why I dropped out. But okay. So yeah, that basically concludes like my whole experience of being in a sorority. Like I feel like I said a lot, but there's also not much to say because
I feel like it's something you have to experience it. Very. Like I don't fully understand it because I didn't. Yeah. I didn't do it. I just wasn't. Yeah. I wasn't living on campus. I went to a smaller school. We didn't even have a football team. I think that's why I was just like,
And I also, which you definitely went to a smaller university than me. So, like, okay. Let's say there's, like, 3 different levels of universities. There's, like, the private colleges, like Georgia College, which is where you went. Yeah. There's, like, that middle-sized college, Georgia Southern, which is where I went. Yeah. And then there's the huge universities like UGA.
Like UGA, yeah.
The UGA rush experience compared to Georgia Southern is going to be extremely different.
Even crazy.
Georgia Southern compared to Georgia College is going to be extremely different. Like, 3 totally different scales that are going on. And I think if I would have went to UGA, and because Georgia Southern, it's just, I feel like this is a very diverse and broad college, but it's so small that it's still the Greek life is still very much like you're still comparing everyone. You can still see what all of the other sororities are doing. They all end up still being kind of similar at the end of the day. And so I feel like I never really found my place to really fit in that much. Yeah. But that's just my experience. Everyone's experience is different. I had people who were die hard for their sorority, willing to fight at the end of the day.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not hating on sororities. Like, if that's what you want to do, I'm all for it. Do what makes you happy. But it is crazy to me the things that I mean, I knew it wasn't for me. That's why I didn't do it to start with. Because I was like, even if I don't know anybody in this town, I'm not doing it anyways because I don't think it's something that I would enjoy. Not to mention you have to pay for it too. Maybe if it was free. But some people like that. Yeah. And I mean, it is a good way to make friends, but you don't have to rush to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so even though this was my experience and that's how mine went, and that was, we all have our own different opinions on it, I still just kind of wanted to give my overall story. I know there's about to be so many girls going through recruitment who probably have no idea about it, and I'm very, like, open and honest, and so I'd rather give y'all my experience and how it happened for me so that you kind of hear, like, a different point of view from, oh, join a sorority, it's perfect, you find your bridesmaids. No, I have like 3 friends, 2 friends still from the sorority that I talk to every so often. A couple of them were invited to the wedding. One of them was able to come. But other than that, no. But I still want to give my advice for all of the girls that are going to go through Rush, because I remember it being like, you're absolutely in love with it in the beginning. It's like the perfect experience. So my first piece of advice is to keep an open mind. Yes. I did not expect to go AOPI. Obviously, I did. And while my time was not like absolutely perfect, like a 10 out of 10, I still loved it. I don't regret it. Like, there are some moments that are still some of my best college memories, like from being in a sorority and doing the things with the other girls and stuff like that. So definitely don't regret it. But I say keep an open mind, because this might even be controversial, but it's very, very, very stressful. And depending on the college that you're rushing, like, like I was kind of saying, like, the sororities can be a little bit awful, you know? Like how I was saying, like, for the reasons why they accept girls. And there were girls who were literally bawling their eyes out because, like, a certain sorority dropped them.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, it's really, really depressing if you don't get picked. Like, okay, where do you go from there?
So you have to keep an open mind. Just because, like, the sorority that you have number one after icebreakers doesn't want you back, like, just keep an open mind. Even, I wasn't even sure about, so on my sisterhood day, I had AOPI and I had Kappa Kappa Gamma. And at the beginning of that day, I thought I was going to go KKG.
Yeah.
But then I ended up, after my conversation in AOPI and after my conversation in KKG, I ended up going AOPI. So you just have to keep an open mind because you never know where it's going to lead you. And that's, like, my number one piece of advice. But my second piece of advice is definitely get involved in your sorority that you end up rushing. Run for positions, go to the events. Even though I talk about how much it sucks having to go to all of them, it's still, like,
keeps you involved.
Yes, it keeps you involved. You're making the friends, like, that you're paying to have, you know, like, go to the events. It's going to make you so many fun memories. So definitely do that. Make the most of your experience. Another piece of advice that I have is to stay out of the drama.
I'm sure there's lots of it.
You're in a sorority with hundreds of other girls, and there's so much of it, and if you involve yourself in that drama, it will absolutely ruin your experience. If you're making friends with a group of girls and they're nothing but drama, bye. Leave that group of friends, okay? Go find you another. You do not want to be in the group of girls that's known for the drama in your sorority. It will, once again, ruin your experience.
That's a good tip.
So, yeah. And then lastly, my last piece of advice is to stay yourself and not let the sorority change you. I know there were so many girls who in high school didn't party, didn't drink, didn't do drugs. Well, they joined a sorority, they joined a certain friend group, and here they are going out every single night in the top floor of the frat houses.
If you know what that means.
Which, by the way, you're not supposed to. So I think that's very much like, you definitely want to make sure you're staying yourself and not letting that sorority change you. Okay, so after all of that, that finally concludes today's episode.
Woo, that was a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like our last couple of weeks have been, like, a little heavy. So next week is going to be a lot lighter of an episode. We're going to be talking about books.
We have been really into books.
Oh my gosh.
Kaylyn's really far ahead of me. I have to catch up with you.
No, she's not going to be able to catch up. I'm so far ahead.
Yes.
But we're going to be talking about how you can get into reading our Colleen Hoover list. Books that we suggest. Oh, everything you're not going to want to miss, okay? Especially if you're already reading or you're looking into getting into reading and you just haven't been able to yet. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
It's going to be a really fun episode.
Yes. Anyways, make sure you like, subscribe, everything we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. And make sure you follow our socials. I like to post some little, like, sneak peeks throughout the week, some fun quotes that kind of match what it is that we're talking about that week. So make sure you follow us on socials, and I'll have all of them linked in the description box below. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye, friends.